Welcome to Cybersecurity Sense, a weekly podcast providing updates and insight into the latest in cybersecurity. Brought to you by LBMC Information Security. Now, here's your host.
Hi, I'm Bill Dean, Senior Manager here at LBMC Security. Thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about Kaspersky's current battle with the U.S. government. So, softmedia.com put out an article a few days ago with the headline of Kaspersky Antivirus Banned by Best Buy Due to Spying Concerns. So, of course, there's going to be a full link in the show notes for you to read the article yourself. But essentially, the United States government is accusing Kaspersky of hiding backdoors into its software to help Russia spy on high-profile users. The FBI has been concerned about Kaspersky for about as long as I can remember, and are reported to actually have been approaching private sector companies recently, encouraging them to ban and remove Kaspersky products from their systems. This was after the United States government decided to remove Kaspersky from their own approved vendor list, citing the same spying concerns. I recall even seeing an interview with the FBI on nightly news one evening recently, raising the alarm about Kaspersky and the concerns about their spying. We even have senators getting involved in the accusations, stating that 6 top intelligence officials included the head of the CIA and the FBI, voted against the use of Kaspersky's. Now, I'm a cybersecurity expert. I'm obviously not an expert on diplomacy, but I'm going to have to think this is not going to help the United States-Russia relations between the two countries. But, the good news is Best Buy is willing to replace recently purchased license of Kaspersky from them with other security products sometime in the next 45 days. So some thoughts on this. To me, a lot of people feel like the United States government is trying to make information security decisions for themselves and for us, the population. Now, I don't have an opinion either way on their decision, but we do have to assume that they have some sort of intelligence to wage this war against Kaspersky. No pun intended there. While it may seem a little bit extreme for them to outright state that Kaspersky is, a national, threat, this isn't the first time the United States government has publicly expressed security concerns related to technology companies based in other countries that may be concerned. And so, they raised the concerns from a cybersecurity perspective. As an example, in 2011, the U.S. House and Intelligence Committee reported that Huawei, a Chinese telecom giant, air quote, can't be trusted to install phone and data networks because they could pose a threat to U.S. national security, and that they could not be trusted, air quotes, to be free of foreign state influence. Of course, China is the foreign state of concern. This claim was followed up by a CNS News 60 Minutes episode that was actually dedicated to the potential national security concerns involving Huawei. There was an issue actually for one of my clients at the time, was that Huawei did not only do telecom, they had a Huawei storage system, and they also received some government funding. They received a letter from Congress stating extreme concerns about using the Huawei technology, and we actually worked with them we were doing a malware compromise or a breach assessment. We actually worked with them to monitor that specific system for any type of communications of concern, and actually air-gapped it from any internet communications in or out. So what this means was there was no communications, whether there was a failed disk or if there was a technology issue, it was not going to phone home and beacon that. So essentially, if maintenance needed to occur on that system, a technician was going to have to come on site and do that. Now, we did not find anything of concern, but at the same time, there was definitely some concern from the government for that specific customer of mine. Then, if everyone remembers this, in 2014, IBM sold their PC business to Lenovo, which is obviously based in China. Same concerns again, as many government agencies that were buying PCs and desktops from IBM raised an alarm that this could be an issue. Granted, we can all admit, that the concerns of cyber espionage from the Chinese government, while not directly related to Huawei or Lenovo, have been warranted over the past few years. So I can see the reason for that. So while it seems like, suddenly the United States government is getting involved in our, information security buying decisions, this isn't the first time. They've raised some alarms in the past. I don't know what's causing it, but, it's worth a listen to. So I guess what it comes down to, so what are you going to do if you're using Kaspersky as your antivirus engine? I've spoken to a few clients actually in the energy sector that use Kaspersky, and they were getting a lot of pressure to replace it, not only from FBI, the board, just a lot of people are saying we probably need to look at something else. Well, for those of you in the private sector, the choice is ultimately yours. You can decide to keep it or not. The good news is that Kaspersky is a traditional antivirus, and traditional antivirus engines are pretty much a commodity at this point. And Kaspersky, they don't provide any type of the next-gen antivirus functions, involving endpoint visibility, providing the ability to do some hunting, or actually they don't do much of anything outside of signature-based protection, unless I'm missing something. If so, please email me and let me know. So with that argument, there's at least 40 other products on the market that do traditional-based signature antivirus. Just choose. And I realize that rip and replace on antivirus engines is not a real easy thing to do, but if you're getting a lot of pressure and you have to remove it, there are other viable options out there to do that. The good news is some of them are actually free. If you consider Microsoft Security Essentials and Windows Defender, these are viable free options. And plus, Windows Defender on Windows 10 has a new product called ATP, or Advanced Threat Protection. This really has some promise to be a viable cybersecurity product. They're looking to do a lot more with it, but it's free and it's built into the operating system. And so I'm actually going to put a link to the show notes to where you can learn more about ATP. It's only been out about a year, and I don't know anyone that's actually using it, but based on what Microsoft has and what they can do, I see a lot of promise with that. So for those of you that know me or have seen me speak, you know that I'm not going to stop by just suggesting that you use antivirus. This isn't 2003, and that's not going to work anymore. But here's what I have been suggesting to clients and customers, or anyone that even will ask me an opinion, because I always have an opinion. What I've been suggesting that they do is, as they're doing their operating system upgrades and lifecycle changes, take advantage of Microsoft Security Essentials and Windows Defender. But don't stop there. Take the investment that you were spending on commercial antivirus products that are traditional antivirus products, and we know the big ones, McAfee, Symantec, those people. Take that investment that was being made there and put it into other visibility products. Repurpose that money, because you don't want to lose the budget, but repurpose it to actually help your endpoint visibility with something like a Carbon Black, with a quality threat intelligence feed. And so there are many more on the market outside of Carbon Black, but everyone can understand what I'm saying with that. So this actually could be a good thing. If you need to change your antivirus, look at a free option, and then maybe look at ATP. Now, ATP with Defender, there is going to be a cost associated with that, but if you're spending a lot of money there, leverage what's already built, and then take that investment and put it into maybe a next-gen AV to go along with it, or preferably from my perspective, an endpoint visibility tool, because my mantra is, regardless as to what you're using to protect, things are still going to get through. And as an incident responder, I like to have the visibility. So, some upcoming speaking engagements. This will be the last time I'll be announcing this one because it's next week, but Mark Burnett, shareholder here at LBMC Security, will be giving his Dear President Trump Top Ways to Secure the U.S. talk at InfoSec Nashville on September 19th. And again, I can't state enough, if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, that is just a great conference to attend. I will be speaking on digital forensics at the TSCPA Healthcare Conference in Nashville on November 27th. Link in the show notes there. I'm also going to be speaking on healthcare cybersecurity issues at the Tennessee Bar Association's 29th Annual Health Law Forum in Nashville on October 6th. There'll be a link in the show notes. And last on my list currently is I'll be speaking at the Utility Technology Association on October 18th, 2017. in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and link in the show notes. So in closing, thank you for listening. Hopefully you've gotten a little bit of value out of this. Tune in next week for another episode of the podcast. If you have a particular topic that you would like to hear in this podcast, or if you just have any feedback on what we're doing thus far, please shoot me an email at bdean@lbmcsecurity.com. To learn more about LBMC Security and the services that we provide, please visit lbmcsecurity.com. Thank you.